Hey there, everybody. Get ready to laugh. We're going back in time, the 1920s to be exact. It's a story about chickens, insurance, and one hilarious farmer. You won't believe this actually happened. Buckle up, buttercups, because we're about to dive into the Great Chicken Insurance Fiasco. It's a tale so wild, so wacky, it could only be true. And trust me, you're gonna want to hear this. Let me introduce you to Old Man Jenkins. He wasn't your average farmer. Sure, he had overalls and a straw hat, but Jenkins had a heart of gold. And a whole lot of chickens. We're talking hundreds. Jenkins loved his chickens. He treated them like family. He had names for all of them. There was Henrietta, the head hen, always strutting around like she owned the place. Then there was Bartholomew, the rooster with a voice that could wake the dead. Jenkins even had a chicken named after his favorite baseball player, Babe Ruth. Now, Jenkins was a cautious fellow. He worried about his chickens. What if a storm hit? What if a fox got loose? He needed to protect his investment. So Jenkins did something unusual. He decided to insure his chickens. Yes, you heard that right. Chicken insurance. It might sound crazy, but back then it wasn't unheard of. Farmers needed to protect their livelihoods. And Jenkins, well, he wasn't taking any chances. He marched himself down to the local insurance office and signed on the dotted line. One night, disaster struck. A mischievous raccoon, probably craving some chicken pot pie, snuck into Jenkins' coop. It was a chaotic scene. Feathers flew everywhere. Chickens squawked in terror. By the time the sun rose, Jenkins' coop looked like a tornado had hit it. Jenkins was devastated. His precious chickens, his pride and joy, were gone. He paced back and forth, muttering to himself, "Those poor chickens, that darn raccoon." But then a thought occurred to him. Wait a minute, I have insurance. Jenkins grabbed his policy and raced to the phone. Section 5. Read the fine print. It's always crucial to read the fine print in any contract or policy. Often the most important details are hidden in the smallest text, and missing them can lead to unexpected surprises. Jenkins and the agent go beak to beak. The tension was palpable as they faced off, each determined to stand their ground. The insurance agent, a stuffy fellow named Mr. Peabody, wasn't too sympathetic. With his pencil mustache and briefcase, he looked every bit the part of a bureaucratic stickler. He adjusted his spectacles and peered down his nose at Jenkins. His demeanor was cold and unyielding, a stark contrast to Jenkins's growing frustration. "Well, Mr. Jenkins," he said in a condescending tone, "I am afraid our policy doesn't cover wildlife." Jenkins was flabbergasted. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. "What do you mean it doesn't cover wildlife? A raccoon is wildlife!" Jenkins exclaimed, his voice rising with each word. He felt a mix of anger and disbelief. "It ate all my chickens," Jenkins continued, his frustration evident. The image of the raccoon wreaking havoc in his chicken coop was still fresh in his mind. Mr. Peabody just shrugged and pointed to a line in the policy. His nonchalant attitude only fueled Jenkins' anger. "It clearly states here, Mr. Jenkins, that we are not liable for any loss or damage caused by acts of God, vermin, or wild animals." The words seemed to mock Jenkins as he read them. He felt defeated, realizing that he had no recourse. The fine print had trapped him, and there was nothing he could do about it. Jenkins left the office, his mind racing with thoughts of what to do next. The encounter with Mr. Peabody had been a harsh lesson in the importance of understanding every detail of an insurance policy. As he walked away, he vowed to never let himself be caught off guard again. Section 6. Order in the court. The case of the pilfered poultry takes center stage. Jenkins was furious. He refused to back down. This wasn't about the money, it was about principle. He stormed out of the insurance office, vowing to take this all the way to court. And that's exactly what he did. The case of Jenkins versus the insurance company became the talk of the town. Newspapers ran headlines like "Farmer Sues Over Stolen Chickens" and "Raccoon Raid Sparks Legal Battle." People couldn't get enough of it. The courtroom was packed on the day of the trial. Everyone wanted to see how this chicken showdown would play out. Section 7. Did the raccoon sign the policy? A judge with a sense of humor. The judge, a portly man with a handlebar mustache and a twinkle in his eye, listened patiently as both sides presented their arguments. His reputation for having a sharp mind and an even sharper wit was well known in the community. He had a knack for making even the most mundane cases entertaining. Jenkins, with his overalls and his straw hat, looked comically out of place in the grand courtroom. His attire, more suited for a day in the fields than a legal battle, drew curious glances from the spectators. Yet, his presence was a testament to his determination to seek justice. But he stood his ground, his voice booming with righteous indignation. He recounted the events with fervor, detailing how the raccoon had caused havoc on his property. His passion was evident, and it was clear he believed in the righteousness of his cause. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the judge cleared his throat. The room fell silent, all eyes turning to the bench. The judge's expression was a mix of amusement and contemplation, as if he was about to deliver a punchline to a well-timed joke. "Mr. Jenkins," he boomed, "did this raccoon by any chance sign your insurance policy?" His voice echoed through the courtroom, and for a moment there was a stunned silence. The absurdity of the question hung in the air, and then the courtroom erupted in laughter. The tension that had built up during the proceedings dissipated in an instant. Laughter is a powerful thing, and in that moment it brought everyone together, if only briefly. Even Jenkins had to crack a smile. Despite the seriousness of his complaint, he couldn't help but appreciate the judge's humor. It was a reminder that sometimes, even in the pursuit of justice, a little levity can go a long way. The judge, it seemed, had a point. His question, though humorous, highlighted the absurdity of the situation. It was a clever way to bring perspective to the case, reminding everyone that not all problems can be solved through legal means. Sometimes a bit of common sense and a good laugh are just as important. Section 8. Victory for Jenkins? Justice is served with a side of scrambled eggs. The judge, despite his lighthearted approach, took the matter seriously. He ruled in favor of Jenkins, declaring that the insurance policy's language was too vague and ambiguous. "It's clear," he announced, "that the average person would not interpret wildlife to exclude a common creature like a raccoon." The courtroom erupted in cheers. Jenkins had won. He walked out of the courthouse that day a hero, his faith in justice restored. The insurance company, meanwhile, learned a valuable lesson about the importance of clear and concise language in their policies. Section 9. Lessons from the coop understanding your insurance policy. So, what can we learn from this feathery fiasco? Well, for starters, always read the fine print. It's easy to overlook the details, but those tiny words can make a big difference in what you're actually covered for. Insurance policies can be tricky, and it's crucial to understand exactly what you're covered for. You might think you're protected against everything, but there could be exclusions or limitations that you need to be aware of. For example, some policies might not cover certain natural disasters or might have specific conditions for claims. It's always a good idea to go through each section of your policy carefully. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If something isn't clear, reach out to your insurance agent or provider. They are there to help you understand your policy and ensure you have the coverage you need. And if an insurance agent tries to pull a fast one on you, remember Old Man Jenkins and stand up for your rights. It's important to be assertive and make sure you're getting the coverage you were promised. Insurance might not be the most exciting topic, but it's important. Think of it as a safety net that catches you when things go wrong. Without it, you could be left facing significant financial burdens. It's there to protect us when the unexpected happens. Whether it's a sudden illness, an accident, or a natural disaster, having the right insurance can make all the difference in how you recover. So, do your homework, find a reputable insurance provider, and make sure you understand your policy inside and out. It's worth the time and effort to ensure you're adequately protected. And rest assured that you're covered, whether it's a hurricane, a house fire, or even a raccoon with a taste for poultry. Remember, the goal is to have peace of mind knowing that no matter what life throws at you, you're prepared and protected. So take the time to review your policy, ask questions, and make informed decisions. Your future self will thank you for it. Section 10. That's all, folks. Thanks for joining the foul fun. And that, my friends, is the story of the Great Chicken Insurance Fiasco. It's a tale as old as time, or at least as old as the 1920s. It's a story about the importance of standing up for what you believe in, even if it means taking on a giant insurance company. And most importantly, it's a story that reminds us that sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. Until next time, stay clucking.